Das radical.
Okay, about 2 weeks ago we had the Republic Day in Iceland, the national holiday of Iceland, and I went downtown, mainly for the Stuðmenn concert. But also to watch the speech of Prime Minister Katrín Jakobsdóttir.
Og ef við lítum til fortíðarinnar áfram, þá fögnum við 100 ára afmæli fullveldisins þann 1. desember næstkomandi og það eru miklar áskoranir framundan.
So right after the speech, I decided to call one of my friends who was going to meet me downtown to ask her where she is. Yo, where are you? Yeah, hi, I'm in the crowd somewhere, you know, behind where the lady was giving the speech. Katrín, I guess. Yeah, Katrín Jakobsdóttir, Prime Minister of Iceland. You do know who is Prime Minister of Iceland, right? No, sorry, I don't really watch the news at all. And if that wasn't bad enough, several days later I was hanging out with some co-workers and I told one of my co-workers that damn it, man, can you believe this? One of my friends didn't even know who Katrín Jakobsdóttir is.
I don't know who's Prime Minister either.
Jesus! And your vote counts as much as mine?
What vote?
Thank God. Yeah, by the way, both of these friends are actually female, but you know, I didn't feel like cross-dressing. But anyhow, this got me thinking a little bit. What would life be like if people like that, or people who don't vote, were required to vote by law? Now, there are countries that where it is mandatory to vote, or where it has been in the past. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind is probably every communist country that has ever existed. But aside from them, if we keep the discussion within the realms of democracy, I think in Switzerland and Austria, at least. I don't think it is anymore, but there used to be for a long time mandatory to vote over there. But what I'm wondering is how would Iceland, or well, other democracies where it is not mandatory to vote, how would these countries possibly change, or what would change if it was mandatory? Like, how would these two friends of mine and others like them decide to handle this responsibility that they've been, well, legally forced into partaking in? Now, people obviously vote for very different reasons. For example, take the left Greens, for example. There is no doubt in my mind that some of the votes that they received in the last election was simply because some people wanted to see a female prime minister. Others may have voted for them because of their environmental policies. Others may have voted for them purely on economic grounds. Whatever the case, the end result is the same, of course. And to me, there is no bad or good reason why you should vote for a party or a person, or a good reason. Well, of course, there's plenty of good reasons, but people have their own personal preferences, and like if the fact that you have a female leader versus a male leader is more important to you than something else, whatever, that's your. Well, you have this one vote, and it is your freedom to use that vote in whichever manner you seem is the most appropriate. So these people who don't vote, so how would they react to having to vote? Well, I don't know. I guess most of them would probably ask like a close friend of theirs and be like, or family member, and be like, hey, what do you vote for? And they would just. Or what do you vote for, or why? And they would probably end up voting whatever the friend or family member was voting as well. I don't think that a lot of people who usually don't vote would, if they suddenly had to vote, that they would be like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go pick up some books, some newspapers, I'm gonna read what's going on, and I'm gonna really study this shit, and I'm gonna make a very good educated decision. No, I don't think that would happen. Damn, this table is very wobbly. But okay, some of them might do that. Some of them might start to look at some of the debates, or I don't know, just do a quick Google search on, you know, what's on the news right now, what each party stands for. Or some of them may simply use this, you know, these tests you can take. You know, do you believe in this freedom? Do you believe in this and that? And like the end results, your political leaning is closest to this party or whatever. A lot of people might, of course, do it that way. But we also need to consider the people who vote regularly versus the people who rarely vote. You see, people who don't vote, in my experience, tend to be more on the liberal side or the left-leaning side of things. See, that is mainly because the further people on the right side of things, they really strongly believe in their right to vote. They may not always vote for the same party over and over again, although let's face it, very often they do, but whatever. But you see, the thing about conservative people is that they hold their right to vote in a very high standard. It's like, I mean, hell, the local conservative party in Iceland is called the Independence Party because when they were created, they were lobbying for complete independence from Denmark. So yeah, obviously voting would be very important to them because you know, we must protect our sovereignty, and in order to do that, we must vote accordingly in order to speed up the process to which we can become independent from Denmark. And even though that has happened decades ago, there is still this, well, very strong driving need among conservatives to go vote because they believe in the system very strongly usually, and they believe in the power of the vote very strongly, much stronger, I would argue, than the people on the left side of things. Sorry, that's just true. That's just the way it is. People on the liberal left side of things, they're a little bit more like, there are a lot of good voters there as well, but there's a lot of people that are just like, I don't know, man, the system isn't that great anyway. Or it's like, I think the system is already pretty good, but I don't really care who runs this. You know, I think all of these politicians are just equally messed up, whatever. I actually made a whole video about this whole topic back when this YouTube channel was still in Icelandic, where I basically said how not voting kinda helps the conservative cause more than anything else. But realistically speaking, if it was mandatory to vote, in the last election we had, I think, an 81% voter turnout. So if these 19% were to suddenly all turn up to vote, I am not convinced that they would all write something very left-leaning or something. Very many of them might simply be persuaded by whatever they read in the news, or by close friends or family members, and would be almost just as likely to vote for the Conservative Party or something else in that direction. But overall, I think maybe a little bit having it mandatory to vote would probably help the left side a little bit more, but I don't think it would have that much of an impact. Like if we forced everybody to vote in every parliamentary election, I don't think there would be a huge change to our democracy or the usual distribution of votes between parties. Because, well, sure, a lot of the people who don't vote are probably more liberal, more left-leaning. Very many of them are probably also close friends or close relatives or whatever of some conservatives, and they would just ask them what to vote and would turn into that direction. Also, if voting was mandatory, I'm sure the Conservative Party here would simply have a much stronger campaign, campaigning much more strongly to young people, to new voters, and people who usually didn't vote. So I think it would all just even itself out, and I don't think it would really change anything. Therefore, I don't think it would be necessary to have mandatory voting. Also, there's also the freedom aspect of it. To me, I don't think voting should be mandatory because I think people should be free to, well, vote just like they should be free to vote whoever they want to. I think they should also be free to not vote if that is what if they so choose. I mean, to me, the freedom to not vote should be just as highly regarded as the freedom to vote. And, you know, but then again, if things all get fucked up and the government does something shady, these people who didn't vote, they do not get the right to blame anyone else but themselves. Let's just keep that shit real. So, anyway. So, what do you think would happen if voting was mandatory? Please say in the comments, or just think about it and discuss it, and, you know, bring it up to your local congressperson if you think it should be mandatory. Anyway, thank you for watching, like and subscribe.
Das Radical.